The spring semester is almost over as final weeks will begin soon on campus. Hello, I'm Justin Gick.
And I'm Erin Holly. The city of Philadelphia is continuing to lift restrictions as dining has been expanded. We have all this and more coming up on LTV News, where the action never stops.
Hello and welcome to LTV News, where we bring you everything from 20th and Olney Avenue, Philadelphia, and the world.
There is a lot to catch up on in the next half hour, as our producer Sam Long had the opportunity to sit down with a famous area guitar player. So let's hear the buzz around campus.
It's hard to believe, but finals week is quickly approaching, beginning May 10th through the 14th. Students' finals are mixed online and in person this semester, depending on the professor's preference. These can be stressful times for college students, but we will make it through together. A few tips and tricks to make it through this week can be to eat a well-balanced breakfast, drink plenty of water, get a full night's rest, and remember to relax and take it exam by exam. Students are required to move out of their residence halls less than 24 hours after your last final. This semester looked different for a lot of students, but it all came together and we are finally approaching summer. Good luck to all students on their finals. You got this.
The LaSalle University community has read about faculty, alumni, and student achievements. Now, explorers everywhere can listen to them. In April, the university debuted a podcast called 20th and Olney. It is aimed at bringing to life the transformation of student successes, professional outcomes, and faculty achievements for which LaSalle is known. The bi-weekly podcast is produced by LaSalle University marketing and communications students Shay Wright and Patrick Berkery, and editorial support from Chris Vito. The episodes will focus on short-form, intimate interviews from those closest to LaSalle. You can listen to 20th and Olney wherever you get your podcasts from: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more.
On Wednesday, April 28th, LaSalle Dining hosted their first in-person event in more than a year. The Spring Cookout was hosted outside at the Quad and featured many different types of food, snacks, and desserts. The cookout also featured a themed farmers market where students could buy fresh fruit and different snacks. The dining program is excited to host more in-person events like this in the fall.
So I actually attended the Spring Cookout and the farmers market, and it was a lot of fun. It was such good vibes, finally having an in-person event. And Sam and I went, and they had a lot of good food and everything. I wish you could have been there.
I know. So is this something they do every year, or is it, this
No.
new?
So I actually talked to the coordinator of LaSalle Dining, and she said it was the first time they tried it. They'd been planning it for many months, and they really wanted to do an in-person event since we're getting back to a little bit of normal here on campus. But it was a very big success, and you could use your meal swipe there, and a lot of students showed out.
That's great.
Yep. Sam got the chance to sit down with guitarist Scott Metzger to talk all about music in the middle of a pandemic. Check out the first half of their conversation with the second half on our YouTube page.
And we're recording. Hello, everybody. Today I'm sitting down with Scott Metzger, one of my personal guitar heroes. One of the very last concerts I saw was his band Joe Russo's Almost Dead at the Met in Philly, one of my favorite shows of all time. I'm extremely humbled and flattered that he would come on and talk to me today. Very much appreciated. Scott, it means the world. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thanks for having me, Sam. Thanks for reaching.
Of course. So I had a few things I want to talk about today. Primarily, I just want to discuss being a musician in the age of COVID. I mean, it definitely has put a strain on aspects of all of our lives in multiple ways. But being a full-time musician, I mean, you're losing gigging, which is your primary source of income. You have to rely on live streaming, which I've tried myself, is not very fun. You kind of lose that face-to-face interaction. That's what really makes or breaks a performance for me. You have to rely pretty heavily on merch sales. There's a whole lot of aspects that COVID kind of took and just messed everything up. It's nice to see that we're returning to some kind of normalcy at this point, but I want to hear your opinion on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was, it blindsided everybody. Being a musician is challenging enough as it is when there's work, but then it was unbelievable. In March, I had a calendar that JRAD had a very full calendar for the whole year. And then on top of that, I was slated to start playing with another band that year, all through 2020. So I was sort of on paper, I was looking at the best year that I've ever had in terms of just excitement of projects that I was involved with, and the amount of work and just all of it in the course of a couple of weeks.
All
really
gone.
Yeah, it was like every time it started in March, obviously, and it just went through April or even May. It was like every time the phone rang, I just dreaded it. It was like this feeling of dread every time the phone rang. It was like, those 5 gigs, okay, we're pushing those back to the fall. Those 10 gigs, they're getting pushed back to the fall. And then the fall came, and then it was like,
yep.
It was like, those 10 gigs that we rescheduled, well, those are all canceled now. Yep. It just went on, and it was like a dying slow death.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, losing all those gigs is definitely probably the biggest financial strain a musician could have had. That's definitely most people's primary source of income if this is their full-time job. I'm sure it put a strain on everyone at some point. But what did you end up doing just to kind of pass the time and get by and still monetize your music?
Yeah, well, there was a lot of getting creative with things and working with things like releasing things that had already been recorded.
Okay.
That sort of, maybe I was on the fence about maybe I'll release this someday, maybe I won't. All of that stuff got released. Yeah. There was a great website that was very helpful called Bandcamp.
Yep.
That they, they're like a streaming platform, and they also sell music. You can sell your music on the website. And they very generously, realizing that everybody was sort of in this really extreme position, they waived all of their fees one day a month, so that anything that the artist sold, the artist got 100% of. There were no service charges or anything like this. And that actually turned out to be a really big deal.
Yeah, definitely. So what did you mostly end up releasing? Mostly live releases, or did you put out some studio stuff that maybe you had back on the shelf that you didn't know if was good and not good enough?
Yeah, me personally. So in late February and early March of 2020, I did a 10-night run of shows with this group called Circles Around the Sun.
Yep. All
through the Northeast. And every night of that got taped. But we just taped it with no intention of like releasing it or anything. We just wanted to have it because that was the first time that we were really touring together. And by June we decided we should release that.
Yeah.
So we all listened to it, found the best tracks, had it mastered and mixed to make it sound a little bit more expensive, I guess. And so we put that out. And then I had also done a recording with Russ and Ray up in Vermont, who are 2 guys that play, I guess they're best known for, they're in Trey Anastasio's solo band.
Okay, yep.
They play organ and drums in that band. And we had done a trio record like 2 years ago at that point. We had recorded it a year and a half prior. And we sort of were all so busy that we kept saying, someday we'll release this. But now's not the right time.
Yeah.
And so that got released as well.
Now, I know streaming services are just a big mess when it comes to not being someone with 10 million streams a month. I mean, it's kind of hard to make money off of there. I know Joe Russo's almost dead, JRAD for short. You guys have about 15 shows up on Spotify. I try to get my daily listen in and try to help out, but it's definitely hard to make money off those streaming services unless you're like Taylor Swift or Lizzo or just a huge name.
Yeah, I don't even consider that, like when I'm thinking about like my budgeting for my life, for my finances, I don't even consider that as like a real source of income.
Yeah.
You know?
So the best way to support it is definitely through Bandcamp then, correct?
Yeah, buying the stuff through Bandcamp has proven to be, you get substantial results from that for sure. Another thing has been like live streaming, like you said. Joe Russo's Almost Dead did 3 nights of live streaming. I just did a couple of nights with some other projects of streams, and that's another. That's become the equivalent of a live show.
Yeah.
That's as close as we can get.
Yeah, it's as close as you can get. Like I said,
It's time for our first break, but coming up, Pennsylvania is expected to lose a congressional seat due to the recent census. Stay tuned.
Yo, bro, what's good?
What's going on?
How you feeling, man?
Doing good. How you doing?
When'd you start smoking?
Smoking? It's a Juul, bro.
It's a Juul?
Yeah.
Listen, you might as well be smoking cigarettes. When you start juuling or vaping, you're 4 times more likely to start smoking cigarettes.
Is that true?
That's very true. Give me the Juul. You don't need it.
To learn more about e-cigarettes, go to thetruth.com.
Welcome back. Judging by the fact that most college students lack sleep, I'm sure we all have heard of the popular sweet treat company, Insomnia Cookies. What you may not know yet is that Insomnia Cookies opened a new speakeasy-style location in East Passyunk, Philadelphia. It looks like a regular Insomnia Cookies store when you enter, but behind a secret bookcase is the unique Cookie Lab room. You even need a secret password to enter the Cookie Lab, which can be found on the Instagram at Insomnia Cookies in the Cookie Lab highlight. At the Sweet Easy, you can customize cookies and cookie-inspired milkshakes for an amazing dessert experience. This insanely cool new Insomnia Cookies location can be found at 833 Wharton Street in Philadelphia and is open until 3 a.m. on weekends and 1 a.m. on weekdays. Well, Aaron, I've been to Insomnia a couple times. Obviously, I want to get to this new location, but I understand you went there?
Yes, I actually went to the new speakeasy style Insomnia last Friday night, and I waited outside in the freezing wind for 3 hours. The line was insanely long. Everybody wanted to get in. It was such a cool experience. There was create your own cookies. They even had dairy-free options. There was also some milkshakes with cookies in them. A lot of sweet treats. It was a really fun time.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check that out.
In exciting news, Philly is now expanding indoor, outdoor, and indoor catering events beginning May 7th. Philadelphia officials have announced since the decrease in positive COVID cases and the rise of vaccinations continues, they are expanding restaurant dining capacity to 50%, and if they meet the ventilation standards, 75% capacity. Restaurants are also expanding the number of guests per table. Indoor maximum, starting May 7th, will be 6 outdoor dining and is now permitted to 10 people at a table, and indoor catering to 75 people. Tables can also be made up of people from different households. Philadelphia Health Commissioner Dr. Farley says that if cases continue to drop, more changes will be coming to capacity limits.
Pennsylvania is losing a congressional seat, the U.S. Census Bureau announced on Monday, April 26. It is the 10th consecutive decade the state has lost clout in Congress and presidential contests. The new census figures show that Pennsylvania's resident population crept to over 13 million last year from 12.7 million in 2010. The lagging population growth could mean Pennsylvania will see a reduced share of federal money for Medicaid, social programs, and infrastructure. The loss of a congressional district means Pennsylvania will have 17 U.S. House seats for 18 incumbent members when next year's elections roll around. If each of the 18 want to run for another term in Congress, 2 of them will have to run against each other. A new map is needed before the next elections, which will need approval from Governor Wolf and the legislature.
As the weather is getting nicer, ATV and dirt bike riders have been crowding the busy streets of Philadelphia. Tom Ayers and John Murphy, a couple residing in Center City, were enraged when they saw ATV and dirt bike riders coming down Broad Street from their apartment window. The riders were driving into oncoming traffic and blatantly ignoring laws. The couple has made efforts to try to get Philadelphia to take this problem seriously by creating petitions and circulating them around their neighborhood organizations. Ayers and Murphy believe that the problem has become so out of control that it is resulting in crime. An innocent driver was assaulted in his SUV, and his SUV was destroyed by a group of adolescent ATV riders. The petitions are working as Philadelphia police have recently confiscated 171 illegal dirt bikes and ATVs. Hopefully, Philadelphia police continue to combat this illegal activity on the streets of the city in the future.
So Aaron, I don't know about you, but I mean, being on campus in normal times, I always see these ATVs, riding up and down Olney Avenue, and I mean, even on Broad Street, like when I'm heading up towards Temple, like they just go in and out of traffic. So I know this is a big issue that the Philadelphia police are trying to get under control.
Exactly. I've actually seen it recently when I've been going into Center City. I have seen these ATV and these dirt bike riders driving the opposite way into the traffic, just causing problems in the streets. And it's definitely good that the police are just considering it a serious issue.
Absolutely. So coming up after this last break, a famous reality TV star is entering the race for California governor. Come on back.
Oh my God, I swear, these sports show hosts just get dumber and dumber as time goes on. Like, I can't believe people are actually paid money, real money, more than what I make at my job to say this stupid stuff. Like, I can't believe this crap. Oh my gosh. I'm about to lose it. Like, this is just, how can they even...
Hey, what you doing?
This stupid sports show. These people have no idea how the game of basketball is played. Not at all.
Hey, you're not you when you don't watch LaSalle TV. Here, let me show you.
Have much more left, but the only reason why for everyone else it's a one-year rental.
Talk Philadelphia here on LaSalle TV. I'm your host, Jeff. All that and much more.
Feel better now?
Better.
You're not you when you're not watching LaSalle TV. To stay up to date, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
We are there, day one, with baby names and a gift that lasts a lifetime. We are there as you grow, protecting you and those you love. And we are there as you start your next chapter. We are with you through life's journey. We are Social Security. securing today and tomorrow. Get to know us at socialsecurity.gov.
This video produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Just last week, the CDC announced that fully vaccinated people are not required to wear a mask outdoors. A fully vaccinated person is considered someone who is 2 weeks post receiving the second Pfizer or Moderna shot, or someone 2 weeks post receiving the one Johnson & Johnson shot. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky said, quote, "If you are fully vaccinated and want to attend a small outdoor gathering with people who are vaccinated and unvaccinated, or dine at an outdoor restaurant with friends from multiple households, the sign shows you can do so safely unmasked. Fully vaccinated people must still wear a mask if they are in a crowd of strangers, such as a performance, parade, or sporting event. It is okay for fully vaccinated people to be unmasked while walking, hiking, running, attending a small outdoor gathering, or dining at an outdoor restaurant. As wearing masks indoors and crowded settings is encouraged, there may be a light at the end of the tunnel."
On Wednesday, April 28th, President Joe Biden made an address during a joint commission of Congress. The speech looked back over the challenges he faced taking office just 100 days ago in the midst of a pandemic. He also declared that America is on the move again. Before he began his speech, he pointed out the historical significance of two women sitting behind him, and now that he had never happened until now. He was referring to Vice President Kamala Harris and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Members of Congress applauded and stood for this milestone. President Biden outlined an ambitious, active role for the government to continue helping Americans struggling, as well as new proposals to boost the country's ability to compete. Because of the pandemic and Biden's personality, the 3-hour-plus speech was a stark contrast from his predecessors. It was more low-key and traditional of policy priorities. Instead of facing a crowded chamber, Biden spoke to an almost empty chamber. Only 200 members instead of the usual 1,800 were allowed to attend. The speech was a success. However, the president also spoke to a deeply divided room.
Starting next week, for the first time in the United States, Florida will start releasing genetically modified mosquitoes in hopes to control the disease-spreading species. The project was approved after years of public comment and official review. Florida will release approximately 144,000 non-biting male mosquitoes. The genetically modified mosquitoes are to mate with biting females, which will result in female offspring unable to survive. This project is meant to control the population of mosquitoes that spread fever, Zika virus, and yellow fever, as well as heartworms in pets and animals. This project was approved to release up to 750 million genetically altered mosquitoes in 2021 and 2022.
Keeping up with the Kardashians, more like keeping up with politics? Former Olympic gold medalist and reality TV star Caitlyn Jenner has announced that she will be running for governor of California. Jenner is 71 years old and a Republican. She wrote on Twitter, "Californians deserve better from their politicians." Jenner criticizes Gavin Newsom's decisions about handling the coronavirus pandemic in the state of California and wants to put an end to his reign as governor. Although Caitlyn Jenner is active in the LGBTQ community, this group was not particularly supportive of her entry in the race for governor. In addition, it was also uncovered that Jenner did not vote in the 2016 election and has only voted 9 times in California state elections since the year 2000. It is clear that Jenner is entering the race without much support or political history.
So, Aaron, I was, following this story as well, and it was interesting that, she's actually going against the LGBTQ community and not even running as a Democrat, which surprised me. And I thought it's interesting too. We know California is a deep blue state, being Democrat. It was interesting. The last time a Republican with celebrity status won an election was actually with Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger back years ago.
That is very surprising to me as well, that Caitlyn Jenner is running for governor of California, especially as a Republican. I know her from Keeping Up with the Kardashians, as I am a fan of that show. So it's actually very crazy to just hear that a former Olympic medalist and reality TV star is now getting into politics.
Right, and I thought she was going to kind of go back in the spotlight and just stay away from public view, but we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah.
So now it is time to say goodbye. I have an announcement that our viewers are not aware of. Tonight is my last episode as anchor of LTV News, as I will be graduating from LaSalle. It's been a deep privilege to sit at the desk for the past 4 years. It was great to feel like all of you and I were in a conversation about the day's events. I want you to know none of this will change, as our anchor Erin Holly and producer Sam Long will be back next semester to bring you all of the latest news. I leave you in steady hands. To our station manager, Tanya Ellis, I thank you for your leadership, encouragement, and help over the past 4 years. And finally, to our crew, this show would not be possible without all of you coming to help behind the scenes. I owe all of you a debt of gratitude. So one last time, it was good to know you were watching today, and I hope to be back on TV real soon.
Wow, Justin, you're going to make me cry. That is very sad that you're graduating. I'm going to miss you, but I'm so happy you were able to make it in person for our last episode.
I know, I was really excited. It was, getting monotonous being behind a screen and, recording and sending it in. So I am glad I was able to be back here. And I'm really going to miss being here and doing our shows
Me
together.
too. It's really hard to believe that this is our first time on desk together and last. It's insane. Well, that just about does it for this episode, but be sure to find us on the web as well as the rest of LaSalle TV on our Facebook page. We love to hear your thoughts, so tweet at us using our Twitter handle and start the conversation.
If you missed the scoop and want to see it, you can find episodes on YouTube on our LaSalle TV Philly page.
Until next semester, for Justin, Sam, and the entire crew, I'm Erin Holly. Thanks for watching LTV News, where the action never stops. And please, continue to wear a mask.